Great to have with us at halftime, Dean Myrick, the commissioner of the ACCC. Dean, how you doing?
We're it's day by day, man. It's that time of year. So yeah, we got everything we have is going right now. So it's a good time of year, but it's a busy time of year.
Extremely busy, and as a matter of fact, this is airing in the midst of the Division II basketball semifinals and championships. So let's talk about that for the moment. And I've got to start on the men's side because, man, you talk about parity in D2 men's basketball outside of Snead State. Then you get Bevel State there with a firm grasp on two. But 3 through 6, man, that was a log jam.
It was, and that's a good thing. And when I started looking at it, I'm like, oh gosh, so Thursday I started looking at all the scenarios and putting pen to paper and pulling up all the tiebreakers and head to heads and all of that. And it actually wasn't as close as it was. I mean, when you pull up the standings, yes, oh gosh, you got all these teams 7 and 9. But when you actually broke it down, just sitting here at the table and stuff, it was pretty much already decided before the games even tipped off who the 6 were. Now the seeding for 3 through 6, that was completely up in the air. I mean, Chat Valley, if they lost, I believe would have fell to 6th, but they won and finished 3rd. So, but yeah, I mean, a lot of parity, a lot of good teams, and just kind of beat up on each other all year. And so it's going to be a good tournament, I believe.
One of the teams that did not make it in with a 7-9 mark was because it was their first year in the league, that being Reed State. And to me, when you look at what Reed State has done this year, being competitive in their first year in, that's remarkable.
It is, and they did very well. And I was fortunate enough to go to their first home game, and I mean, it was standing room only, a lot of community support. And I know Dr. Boykin, their president, is very, very pleased. And there'll be increasing tenfold next year with women's basketball and volleyball, softball, baseball. So they're all in.
Does a school have a mandatory 1-year kind of probationary status per sport, or is that when a school enters the athletics?
It's per school. So when a school enters athletics for the first time, I shouldn't even say ever, because Northwest Shoals ran into this last year. Their baseball would have qualified for postseason, but being new, they had that probationary period as well. So I guess in simple terms, Reed State men's basketball was the guinea pig this year, and they did the probationary period, and all the other sports will reap benefits of it next year. So yeah, it's per school, and if they're new or not. So like Gadsden State coming in, baseball and softball, they would not be on a probationary period because they already have a established athletic program.
You bring up Gadsden State. Are they coming in with baseball and softball?
Baseball is in now. They're playing, doing well, and softball will be in next year.
D1, D2. I've been saying over the course of 6 months now, I hope I am right, that this may be the first time ever that there's been both in the ACCC. Is that true?
Not ever. It's been a while. I know it's been over 13 years, and I believe it kind of went away a few years before I got here. And still don't know really the whole backstory, and it doesn't matter. But I think it's been great. We have seen the success. Even though we may not win a national championship, we're going to be in the competition for it. It's not like some of our sports in Division I that, I mean, it's an uphill climb from the first game or match or whatever of the national tournament. So I think it's great. We will have, two teams. We'll have some teams ranked in D1. We'll have a team ranked in D2. We'll have two teams experience a national tournament, instead of one. So it provides those student athletes an additional opportunity to experience a national tournament atmosphere and, being able to compete for a national championship. So, I keep referencing Raleigh State volleyball. They won 3 matches this year, which is more than we've won at the D1 tournament combined ever. So, that was successful. And I think he would tell you that it's probably not one of his strongest teams this year, but still went 3-2 and did well. So I think we're going to be competing very well at the D2 level and to go along with our D1 teams. And it gives us a little bit more notoriety across the country in both. So it's been a good year for that.
Now too, to clarify, I know we've been 2 in the past. Have we been D1 and 2 simultaneously? So that has happened previously.
Yes, and
Okay.
I know in baseball, I remember when LB Wallace, when I was in Region 10 in the Carolinas, actually had to come up and play in our region tournament. Coastal North and Bruton won a D2 national championship. I can't remember how long ago, but they won, simultaneously with D1. So it's been done, and it's a little bit more work, 2 tournaments and so on and so forth, but that's still not bad. And, it's fun, and, it gives teams an opportunity to experience postseason, like I said, and, teams that may not qualify for the D1, state tournament or conference tournament, on a regular basis now have that opportunity at D2. So it's just providing a lot more opportunities for all involved.
And speaking of opportunities, we got to talk about ladies basketball D2, and really it has created some opportunities when you consider the dominance of Shelton State in women's basketball. So in D2, you got a brand new face atop the standings with Coastal Alabama North.
You do, and Coach Armstrong did a great job this year, and Coach Roden at Snead State, kind of brought them back there, and and I haven't crossed it over, and but do some of these teams qualify for the Division I tournament if we were all Division I? And the answer is probably no. So it's going to give at least these 4 teams. I'm not saying they wouldn't have qualified, like I said, I haven't checked, but it gives those 4 teams an opportunity to, and all of their student athletes and coaches and fans, an opportunity to experience postseason. And I don't see anything negative about that.
Well, here's one thing that won't happen. You won't have a domination of the North over the South because you don't have those 2 divisions this year.
That's true. And we're kind of, if you look at it, really in all sports, except for Coastal South, Bishop in basketball, the North-South almost stayed the same as D1, D2, if that makes sense. So, so most of your previous North division in D1 pretty much all stayed D1, and then most of your South division previously in D1 went D2. So it's kind of like that now, but it was kind of funny how all that played out. But again, we've had no negatives, and I was telling someone Saturday in Oxford, if you know D1 and D2, you would never know. Really nothing changed other than less conference games, during the regular season and 2 tournaments. So, scholarships stayed the same. We were able to keep the rivalries, and, a lot of our D2s are playing D1s in all the sports, which is also a good thing.
One small difference, too, for the D2s is they've got another stop along the way before heading to a potential national championship appearance. So tell our viewers what's next in D2 and where do they go?
Well, D2, we'll talk basketball since we're in that now. So we'll have our conference tournament conference/region tournament this weekend. And let me say thank you to Bishop State for kind of bailing us out and hosting that D2 tournament, even though they don't have a team. And we just ran into some hotel issues at a previous host. So big thanks to them and Coastal South. They're going to tag team it. But so anyway, so we'll have our top 4 women, top 6 men, and the reason of that, with Bevel, Marion. They do not have women's basketball in D2, so we take 50 to 60% of all of our participants and advance to postseason. So that's why the discrepancy there. But so whoever wins those 2 tournaments on March 9th, and we will host this year at Coastal South, we will play the winner of the Region 8, which is Florida winners, and in a 1-game playoff in a district championship, the winner of that will advance to the national tournaments. The same thing will occur in D2 baseball. We will travel to Florida this year. I couldn't get Florida to go for like we did in D2 softball, to where we are doing a combination region/district, to where we'll get 5 teams, Florida will get 3, and then the winner of that will go directly to the national tournament. So I'm always texting and calling the Florida commissioner every day trying to get that in baseball, but I think that's going to be a little uphill battle, but we're going to work on that. So yeah, we're with Florida and everything. It's winner versus winner and everything but softball. And so that'll be a good thing, and I think we will compete very well with them. And once we advance to the national tournament, we're going to go ahead and say we're going to win all those districts and go to the national tournament. And I think we'll do well there, represent ourselves really well.
Okay, so specifically where the women and the men in this weekend's tournament in D2, they will play on the 9th in a 1-game battle with Florida, and it takes place in Bay Minette?
Yeah, we went ahead and predetermined those sites to help with budgeting, to help with logistics. So next year, we will go to Tallahassee. And that, again, that's a completely neutral floor. Tallahassee's Division I, Coastal South is Division I. So when teams budget for next year, they'll know, hey, if we win Region 22, we're going to have to go to Tallahassee. So that way, we'll know our winner Saturday night of this week for Division II. Florida will know theirs. It's a lot easier if you already know you're going to Tallahassee versus, oh gosh, Miami-Dade won this tournament. Mm-hmm. We've got to go find a way to get down to Miami in 5 days. So that, I believe that'll help. And the same thing in baseball. They'll be in Jacksonville this year and for the district. And then we will host in 25 at a site to be determined. But it'll be, we've looked at Dothan, do we want to put it on a campus, so it'll be somewhere, geographically, suitable for everybody.
Dean Myrick, Commissioner of the ACCC, you are always a wealth of new information in regards to sports in the conference. Thanks for being our halftime guest. I'm sure we will see you in Mobile at Bishop State this weekend.
Well, I appreciate it. You worded that better than most people say, that I'm a wealth of blank information. So I appreciate you being nice about it. And we'll see you in Mobile Friday. Look forward to a good tournament.
All right. Thanks so much.
Thank you.